friends, this is Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. We're going to get into some breads. Today we're going to make a baguette, French baguettes. French, I don't care. I said French. I don't know if it truly is a French, but it's a baguette. That's all I need to know, especially for right out of the oven with some butter. And that's my dinner. I could eat just that. So when I go to restaurants and they have hot bread, I have to really kind of like pass on it, or else I won't eat dinner. I'll just eat the whole loaf. So good. Okay, this is just a classic baguette. When you're making breads, you're gonna want to use the metric system, the weight and measure. It's different. It's a little bit different. I will try to break down grams to cups for you, but it'll be like 500 grams is like 4 cups, but about, I think it's just like 2 tablespoons extra kind of thing, so that's why, but the weight and measures of bread making is important. So when I do make bread, I do use a scale. I know, I cheat, but whatever, it works. It doesn't matter what kind of scale, just as long as it can convert from grams to milligrams and cups and pounds or whatever, not cups. So you may want to consider getting this. I will try to put my measurements in cups. Maybe I'll do both. I don't know. I'll see how I can get that best work out for you. Okay. So when you do measure, for this recipe, I'm going to use 500 grams of flour. It'll be the strong flour. It'll be the bread flour. In the video below, I talked about the flours to use like 3 minutes ago, really. So check that out so you can understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So a strong flour or a bread flour is going to be higher than 12% protein. That's going to give you the chewiness of breads, So look for that below. And to measure, here, I'll just show you how to measure this out. I know you guys are probably expert bread makers, and bravo for you. But there are some who still are like intimidated crazy about this stuff. So let's just break it down for those, and that way everybody gets on the same. Yeah, who knows? You may learn something. Whatever, right? Okay, let me check it out. I'm going to be doing this upside down, and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I'm going to be kneading most of my breads in the mixer. I've lost a lot of my arm strength with my broken arm, and it's still not playing right. So I'm not going to give up what I love. So you start off with the machine off. Okay, you don't turn it on. You put your measuring unit on it, whether it's a pot or a pan, it doesn't matter. Now you turn it on and it starts off at 0. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? Yeah, it's not going to let me. So with this, it has a 0 on it because it was started with this on it. What? Okay, if I take it off, it's going to show a negative load. But when I put it back on, it'll be back to 0. And then I'm going to just measure in the flour. I want 500 grams of flour. Okay. That's 502. And you really do want to be precise about this. Crazy, right? 501. Look at that. $4.99, and that's the difference. Is it going to make that much of a difference? You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I don't want you guys to think, oh, what if I get it wrong? Let's not worry about a half a gram or such, okay? So that's that with the flour, and that's how you're going to measure all of your ingredients. I'm going to turn off the camera so I can go back and put this in cups to give you an exact number. This is why weights and measures are used in bread. This is 3 1/4 cups of flour plus 1 3/4 teaspoon of flour. So clearly 500 grams is just an easier measure. So I'll do the same for the, this just has flour, salt, yeast, water, and olive oil for kneading, and a touch of sugar so that the yeast can feed on it. That was a task. This reminded me why I use the metric system for breads. You can use it for anything. You're going to get a more precise measurement, weights and measure in anything. And you'll see some cookies and cakes that are measured like that. And choose what you want for this. And here's, so 500 grams, I had to write it down, is 3/4 cup plus 1 1/3 teaspoon of flour. That's what 500 grams in. So it's easier just to measure out 500 grams, right? The salt is, okay, now this is where it's going to get a little funny. The salt is 1 3/4 teaspoon of salt, which is 10 grams. Now, 10 grams of yeast is not the same measurement. 10 grams of yeast is 2 3/4 tablespoon. It's a lot lighter, so it's going to have more. You know, a pound of feathers and a pound of bricks, still a pound, but the volume is completely different. And then the cup, the water, where you have 370 milligrams. You know what? I got that one wrong. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of glad that I got that wrong. I didn't switch over on my scale. There's pounds, grams, milligrams. That's what I was looking for, and I didn't switch it over. So you'll be using 370 milligrams of water, or 1 1/4 cup plus 2 teaspoons. So that kind of stuff is what's going to really intimidate you and confuse you. And what if I'm a drop off? Don't worry about that stuff. I mean, it's not, you're not making a bomb. Can I say that word on on YouTube? I don't know. Well, you're not making a bomb. Name the movie. Oh my gosh, where'd that come from? All right, so that's it for yeast. Let me just give you a quick tip on yeast. Okay, so the yeast, fast rising, instant, rapid rising, or brick, or whatever yeast you're going for. So you've seen other cakes or other breads that I've made where I bloomed the yeast. That yeast was just regular yeast. So it needs to kind of get softened and whatnot and bloom. Most of the time you'll use an instant or a rapid, which is the same thing, just a different word. They're smaller granules, so they're going to incorporate faster. And you can just mix them right into the doughs. I did get a big thing of instant, so I'll be using that more often than blooming. But like I said, if I get raw, or if I get the brick, or the paste kind of stuff, I'm gonna bloom that. Give it what it needs, right? That's the basic of your breads. Now we're just gonna get in and play, okay? And it's pretty quick, and it's, except for the proving and proofing. That's what always just takes the longest. So let's get this part over with so we can get that start going. I can already smell this stuff. Just a little bit before, earlier in the video, I said that I gave you the list of water, flour, salt, and yeast, and then I was going to add some sugar. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to bloom the yeast. So if I have to bloom it, make it look like brain like I have in all my other videos, I'll use the sugar so that the yeast has something to eat off of. This does not need to, because it's going to just be ready to incorporate. Got it? Got it. So I'm going to start off with a baking dish, and the squares for this particular baguette, it's going to be easier to do it in here to let it proof rather than in a round dish, because this is already going to give you your strips for your baguette. It's just going to make it easier, so you're not going to have to work it a whole lot. So I'm just going to put some olive oil in, smear it around, and just put this aside so that I'll have, and go all the way up the sides, because you don't know how much it's going to rise, and it changes. You know, I remember one time I made this and it overflowed. Well, you know, I had a lot of things that I didn't take into consideration at the time. The weather was one, and how fresh the yeast was another. So just keep that in mind. Always go bigger than you need. Geez, I hope this is bigger than I need. I guess we'll find out. Alrighty, we are ready to play. So I've got my salt and my yeast, 10 grams of yeast of each. Now, here's the biggest thing you're going to need to know about breads. You don't ever want these two things to touch in the beginning. So it's smart to put the yeast on one side, the salt on the other side. Then you can mix it. I know, weird, right? But the yeast, the salt will kill the yeast, and it doesn't stand a chance. And then water, and that's all you're going to add to this. Now, when you add the water, add about 1/2 to 3/4 at first. The yeast, it absorbs differently, so you kind of want to. This may be too much, you know. So just add about 3/4 of it. Let it mix for a bit, and add a little bit more. I used to really love making bread by hand and doing this whole process and getting it into my nails. And all right, I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of it. And I'm going to pick it up to a medium and let it go for about 5 to 7 minutes. Alrighty, that's it. That did all the hard work for me. Yes, that was another mixer, but you're not supposed to notice that. Okay, so this just gets, it's a very heavy dough. And this goes right into I'm going to just kind of give it a shape. It's really fun to touch, I'm not lying. It's going to go right in here. I'm not going to do much to it. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to cover it with a tea towel and let this double in size. An hour, hour and a half, I don't know. Depends on the conditions around. It's hot here, so it might not take that long. All right, I'll be back. Okay, it's been an hour. It's done proofing. It's doubled in size. Now, I put a tea cloth on it, but I changed my mind. I covered it in plastic so I could put it outside. If I put it outside with just a tea cloth, I would have critters and or my dogs into it in no time. So this is what it looks like. See that puff? It's a good puff. You can't see it here, but I'll show you how bulky it's got. Poof. All right, it's nice and warm. It's so warm. And whether you use a tea cloth or plastic, it doesn't matter. So that's nice. Now I'm going to oil my work surface. Yes, most of the times you will use flour, but this is a wet dough. So I'm going to oil it. And I'm just going to tip it out very gently. I'm not going to do much to this. Really should have did it more. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to divide this in 3. It says 4 or 5, but I have a big enough cookie sheet and baking tray, so I should be able to fit it on my tray. Now, this is the part where it's kind of fun. This is the fun part. I'm not even going to try to lie. This is where it makes you feel like a bread maker. So I'm putting these aside. I'm going to use one at a time. And I'm going to roll it out, just like you did when you were Play-Doh, but I'm not using any pressure. I'm just letting the weight of my hands kind of roll it out. I think I have too much oil. That's all right. So I'm just going to start in the middle. Let me dry this up. It's too wet. So I'm just going to roll it out. I'm not squeezing on it. I'm just kind of guiding it. You follow? And you do want it to be consistent. Now, the weird thing about this as a baguette, you want it to be tapered at the ends. This part is a little too thick. Okay, so this right here is 1. I'm going to put that on my baking tray. I'm going to have to put it on and then show you. And it's longer than your hand, so it's going to be a little wobbly, but that's all right. Okay, so I put it at an angle so that when it grows, it'll grow and fit better on the tray. Got it? And you do not want to punch out the air. It's all that proofing was to build up so much air in it. That's what you want. This piece is definitely bigger than the other one. But you know, that's the rustic great part of baguettes. Okay, so I've got it tapered. And I'm off camera here, so let me just, it's tapered. I'm going to put that on the other one, finish this up, and I'll show you the next step. So this is the centerpiece. This turned out to be the largest. That's fine with me. And then the 2 end pieces fit on a tray this way. Now, they're going to prove, P-R-O-V-E, which is different than the first proofing. It's going to be doing something different. So I'm going to stick this in a baggie. A baggie. Well, it is a baggie, but it's a gigantic baggie. These are, what are they? They're flat, open. There's an actual term for it, and I forgot what they're called. But you can get these on Amazon, or go to your bakery at the store or at a corner bakery and ask if they'll sell you one of these. They'll know what it is. It's for proving, to tell them what it's for. So this is going to go inside. And it's going to be full of air. So this is going to proof for another hour or until it gets nice and big. I'm going to do the same thing to the other bag, and then we'll pick up where we left off, well, right about now. All right, we are ready. It's done its second prove. I will tell you, I opened up one, well, it opened, and it deflated because I disturbed it. I knew better, but the air had gone out of the bag. I don't know why I'm winded. The air had gone out of the bag, so I went to go put in more air, and during that time, it deflated. I'm not going to worry so much about it because I know what happened, so dummy for me. But these look good. I totally just had a brain fart. All All right, so I'm gonna dust these with a little bit of flour, and I'm gonna make some blade marks in it. Let me go back. I have the oven preheating to 425, and then I am going to go put, in fact, I'm gonna go do that right now. I'm gonna put this glass into the very bottom of the bottom rack. I'm gonna boil some water. When these go into the oven, I'm gonna put the boiling water in here, and it's gonna make steam. The steam is what's gonna give you that good crispity, crunchy outside. That's what you want. So let me go do this. We'll finish up here. Okay, oven is preheating, and I'm also boiling water. So this goes out. These deflated a bit too, and I'm still not going to worry about it, like I said, because I know where my mistake was. So I'm going to just dust it with flour, and it doesn't matter which flour you use. Kind of want a good dusting though. All right, then you're going to take a razor blade or a really sharp knife, and you're just going to make three slices. You can also just do it straight down. As this bakes, they're going to separate, and you're going to get some really good lines in it, which is the familiar sign of a baguette. So once the oven is preheated, I'm going to pour that boiling water into that dish, and then put these on the rack and bake them. How long am I going to bake them? I'll let you know. This is the one that deflated. I don't know. Will it rise? It should, but we'll see. This will be my tester, but I wanted really to show you what this is. I got it on Amazon. It's used a lot for scoring your bread. I cannot for the life of me remember what this is called, but you can just use a razor blade, preferably one that's not double-sided like this, or a really sharp knife. That's all you need. I just happened to get this because it came with something else I bought. That's all. Okay, so these are obviously out of the oven. I just broke them. You can hear the crispy, crunchy sound of it. I opened it up, and you see all these wonderful little grooves, the bubbles. You can see the bubbles that give it the air and made it rise. They're flatter, like I said, because that was 100% my fault, because I let the air out of the bag. It looked like it was deflating, so I opened it up to put more air in, and that's what it is. So next time, or when you do it, just make sure that the bag is completely covered. There's a nice bubble, and leave it alone. Just don't move it around. I moved it, which let the air come out and blah, blah, blah. 100% me. So, but I've done it before. That's why I know what the problem was. But it's got a good pull to it. And, well, yeah, the best part is the butter, baby, right out of the oven. It's still warm. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, don't put these out. Don't show these. Make another batch and do them right the way you know how, and then present those. And I'm thinking, well, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that, because that's cheating you. Because if this happens to you, you're going to think you failed. This isn't a fail. This was just a goof, because in the end, it is not a fail. That crunch of the crust is so good. I'm telling you. This will get the guys, right? Forget that, it'll get me. So good. Wow, so good. Not a fail at all. Just a glitch. But I tell you the glitch so that when you do it, Yours are going to be picture perfect. Such a simple. Bread is so simple. It really is. Give it a shot, guys. I think you'll really, really like it. Okay, until next time, happy baking. One other thing. I am a complete and utter goof. I know this, and you're a champ for sticking with me. There's certain things I have for different cooking or baking that I'm always going to use this because it's always worked better. Or this one works good for me. I have a baking dish. It's a roaster. I could not find it. So that's what I usually put on the bottom of the rack to fill it up with boiling water. This time I picked a glass dish, a baking dish, thinking, yeah, that's bound to work. The trick is putting it in hot, putting it in first, preheating it empty, and then putting it, the boiling water into that dish. And you want to use metal. One of the reasons that you don't want to use glass, I can't remember what the reason is. Oh yeah, it breaks. It's just a brain fart. And I think I've had cranial constipation for this thing because I knew better. So there you go. Metal. Use metal. Whatever, man. I got bread.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.